So hello, welcome to episode 1 of Pedestrians podcast. The podcast is about games, films, mods, small talk. Basically, we're going to try and cover
shoes. Can we talk about shoes?
We can talk about shoes if we really want,
okay.
but I don't think it's our demographic.
No,
but we can get onto that if we want. What I wanted to try and talk about was games that have just come out, games that haven't just come out, so games
in general.
Yeah,
that's good.
But what we're going to try and do every week is cover like a new release, something old, something not so old, maybe something retro, but just get a nice little mixture so that we can kind of cover people who have pocket money to go out and buy brand new things like Destiny. And then stuff, old releases, indie games, different platforms. So we're going to try cover Android, like PS Vita, PS3, PS4,
all the P's,
Xbox 360. We're not willing to fork out on an Xbox One, so we probably won't be testing anything there
until we get sponsorship, and then we'll buy an Xbox One.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's that, and then we also want to cover films as well, because we're both not film nerds in the sense that we know everything, but we are basic punters and we do enjoy film, and we thought it would be cool to talk about that from that perspective and not from the perspective of people that think they know absolutely everything about films. So there's that as well. And
because this is episode 1, it's like a comic book. I mean,
what you mean it's going to be drawn?
No, it's not going to be drawn, but like I would say in maybe 50 years this podcast will be. I'm not going to put a number on it, but 50 to 100,000.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think it'll be worth a lot.
Sounds quite arbitrary to me.
Yeah.
But what if you've opened it already?
Oh.
Like, can we do a system where we can sell podcasts that people can not listen to?
Yeah, so they can just keep it new in box.
Yeah. Well, like, I don't know whatever the web version of inbox is. If you can just, is there an electronic marker you can set to not read, or like not listen to?
These are things we need to look into.
We're going to look into that. So that's that. Yeah, that's that. We're not experts on this. We've never done a podcast before, so we're finding our way through the first episode. I think what we want to try and start off with really is the games bit, which we're going to try and keep this up every week. We want to give you guys a nice safety blanket so that every week we've got the same format, and then we'll listen to what you people say. You people, you like that?
You people.
This is what you people say. I love the fact that we can just treat people with contempt. But yeah, we'll see what you want to hear, and then if you want to email in, leave us comments, call us cunts, whatever, then we can sort of respond to that and develop the show in the direction that you want to hear it go. There are things that we won't do. Yeah, but yeah. So
I would do anything for love, but I wouldn't do that.
What would you do for 2.4 billion?
Everything. Yeah,
good. So we should kick off with our games bit. You didn't see that, but I did hold up inverted commas when I said that. But yeah, this week, what have you been playing, Graeme?
Mostly Destiny. Mostly Destiny on the PS4 and some Hotline Miami on the PS Vita.
And so you've been completely PS this week.
Yeah.
Cool.
Destiny is like the Pringles of video games. Like once you pop, you can't stop.
Well, the thing is, like what I've heard, what I've read, and I think what most people's impression that haven't played the game will be is that it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I mean, I've read that on a lot of websites now. I've watched a lot of reviews. I've watched a lot of footage, and I think the hype behind it may have built people's expectations up. But I mean, like, yeah, what's your general view on that? I mean, not on the game itself, but what do you think about the reviews that have come out so far?
I don't know. I think it's the beta culture a lot. I mean, people played the beta and then they expected. I think a lot of them said, the full game is going to be awesome after playing the beta.
Okay, like they expected like shed loads more features, or like way better functionality than what was there in the beta.
Exactly. I mean, alpha comes along, beta comes along. Beta's not going to be that far away from the final version. I don't think a lot of people realise that.
Well, I think the whole point, I mean, I could be wrong, and if anyone feel free to correct me, but I think the whole point of beta is literally to balance the game out. I thought that was the whole point. So for me, it feels like when you're playing a beta, like all you should expect from the final release is maybe a little polish.
Yeah.
But really, just everything should have been ironed through and things balanced properly and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times, like I never play them. I don't play them because I won't listen to a piece of music before the artist has finished recording it. Yeah. I'm not going to watch a film that's halfway through. And when it comes to video games, I don't want to lose that surprise that I'm going to have in the first 10 minutes of playing it.
So you're willing to you're one of the patient types that's willing to really wait for the release, as opposed to let the excitement get the better of you, and then you're like, oh, I need to get in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like people going down to the living room on Christmas morning and peeking at the presents. You know what I mean? Just wait,
just spoiling their own
exactly. Yeah, I don't understand it because. For me, you put the disc in. Most people download nowadays, I think, and then the credits come roll, and the full game's there, and you play it from there. That's it.
And it's that's the payoff.
Yeah.
For having waited for so long.
I mean, the video games are coming out every week. You don't need to be playing a game that's not finished.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other games.
Yeah, fair enough. So then what about the actual game itself? Take us through the whole thing.
Well. It's strange because it's mediocre. It's not a great game.
So hang on a second, right? I thought we were talking about this before, and what we were trying to say was we wanted to try and go in a different direction to everyone else. But you just taken off with saying it's mediocre. Well done.
I will come back. I will come back to that. But it's not an amazing first person shooter. It's not an amazing MMO. It's in between.
Yeah.
First of all, I'll describe how you start. You start with your ship's basically in space. You're in orbit.
Are we going to do any spoilers on this, by the way?
No. I mean, I'm probably not far enough to do spoilers anyway.
Okay, but we should just in case you're listening. If there's anything that we think is spoilerish, then we'll try and give you a sort of a 30-second. Skip 30 seconds ahead sort of warning. So okay, cool. Okay, sorry, carry on.
No bother. So you're in orbit and you have these options. You can either go to the tower or you can go to Earth. Tower is basically your central hub. You can buy things there. You can see other players that are online at the same time as you. The main thing about Destiny is it forces everyone to be online. So even if you want to play as a one-player game, you're going to be online anyway. You're going to be on the same. You're going to be in the same gaming world as everyone else that's playing for one player.
So how do they separate out the well if you're online, then surely aren't people popping up in your world?
Yeah, there'll be maybe 15 players in the same game as you.
And can they come and fuck with you and
They can't. They can never shoot you or anything like that.
So they're there. You can see them. Can you interact with them still?
You can. They allow you to dance with each other. You can wave to each other.
Dance.
You can point. Yeah, there's a dance button. It's also handy if your level's not great. If someone sweeps in a place in front of you, he can technically destroy all the enemies, and you're just walking in behind them.
Okay, yeah. So you can kind of, yeah. So, but what I'm trying to get to the bottom of is here, what's the point in if they're still in the world and you can still take advantage of them? Then why would you? I mean, it seems to me that's almost like a cheat mode where you can wander through the world without having to worry about anyone else killing you.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if they're taking out the enemies for you, you're not going to get any XP.
Okay, right. So the balance.
Yeah,
the balance does come.
Things are not going to drop for you or anything like that. And also, when you see these players, you can. I think you press in the PlayStation 4. You press in the R3 button. And you can interact with them, and you can ask them to join your fire team. It's called.
Okay.
And that means that you can do things together. So you can go into a mission as a twosome or a threesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just to drop threesome.
Yeah.
Good.
It's always good to drop threesome. So the world is not big enough. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people are complaining about, because you do certain missions and you go in the same area, and then you go into the same buildings. And then if you do another mission, you're going into the same buildings again.
Yeah, so I've heard that as well. It seems to be quite repetitive, sort of fetch tasks and shit like that.
Yeah. And I don't know, other games do this better.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, if you want to talk about fetch tasks, then any of the Bethesdas, Fallout 3, Skyrim certainly made me mental with the amount of like, we just need you to go and get like my late brother's sword, and then you go to the guy who's supposed to get it, and like then he gave it to someone else, and you go to get them, and they want you to get a book for him, and then they give you the sword.
It's like that bit in Curb Your Enthusiasm. The old woman says, "Can someone get a napkin?" And Larry David says, "Get the napkin yourself."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've always thought that there's some guy in a shop or some warrior that like, oh, like my granddad wrote this book and it's in this cave with spiders, and you're like, well, first of all, like, how the fuck did it get into a cave? Did spiders come and steal your book, or your granddad's book? And then it's like, you're a warrior, and you want to give me, like, maybe you're going to reward me with some badass weapon. Why have you got the weapon?
Yeah.
If you're not even going to fucking use it yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
Dickhead.
And, like, games like, I suppose that you're buying into the gaming world, but, like, Infamous, where they've got audio files all over the city, who the fuck put them there?
Well, it's the same with BioShock as well, but they make it a bit more like, they do it well, you know, because you got these things which are like files in someone's room or whatever, and it's like, that's a cool part of the game for me, is shit like that when you got this like storytelling going on in the background. But for the sake of it, I just think like you could have been more inventive with missions, you know. Yeah.
Another thing that you've probably heard a lot of people say online: the story is laughable. I mean, it's just
really.
As far as I've played so far, I'm level 20.
What's the level? Is there a level cap?
Not that I know of, but level 20 is apparently where the game starts.
Okay.
So
life starts at level 20.
Yeah, basically. I'm on Venus now.
Yeah.
And there's only been 2 cutscenes.
Okay.
To try and explain some kind of story, there's only been 2 cutscenes. I mean, Tyrion Lannister is there the whole time. He's telling you things, but it's got to a stage now where I'm putting on my earphones and I'm listening to music or listening to podcasts. Yeah,
you're not really really so invested in the story.
I've got the volume up so I can just hear the gun noises and stuff like that, but it's just the story is just, it's nonsense. It's just
okay. So I mean, that's one thing that we've got to talk about budget here, because I think like what the one question I've heard over and over again is like, where did the money go?
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to be a prick about it, you know, because there's that part of me that you think, like, when you've got games like BioShock Infinite, and I think, I could be wrong again, but I think the budget on that was like 70 million. And you know, if you take that as like the
benchmark,
like a benchmark, and say, right, that's 70 million. Then is this game like 230 million better? Do you know what I mean? Like, can you say that, or is it apples and pears? You know,
I think to some extent it is apples and pears. I can see where some of the money's gone, and I'll come on to that later. But things like Tyrion Lannister, Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Right, so they paid Paul McCartney to write a song for it. Why?
That could have cost them easily 200 million.
Exactly, like that's where it was the BioShock money plus the Paul McCartney money. That made 300 million.
That's 300 million. I can imagine Macca just sitting back, just going like, "Oh, I want you to do this song, and it's going to be this and blah blah," and it's just like 200 mil.
Yeah,
just yeah.
I mean, the music in it is nice. It's atmospheric at times and stuff like that. But
did he write all the music for it?
No, I think he just wrote one song.
A song.
Yeah. So.
Well, the other thing is, like, I was looking at the trailers for it, and they've got this like live action trailer, and that must have cost them a fair old bit to make as well. You know, so like, I think when they say 300 million, surely that wasn't all ploughed into development. You know, like that there must have been like advertising, all that shit as well. You know, wages of the CEO, of whoever the fuck it is, and you know, like,
I'm not against the Paul McCartney writing a song. Like I am.
Like, I'm against anything Paul McCartney unless it's Beatles.
Unless it's the Beatles.
Yeah, unless it's the Beatles. I'm just generally against Paul McCartney. Not because I don't like him. I'd be gutted if I found out that he found out that I'd said I didn't like him. It's not that I don't like him.
I think he will listen to this podcast.
We'll see. I think he might as well. Yeah. But for me, it's more like, I don't like the idea of Paul McCartney, you know? Just like,
I'm not against Paul McCartney. It's just a concept of Paul McCartney.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Just what he is, what he stands for. You know? Same as Bono. Like, getting away from the subject matter a little bit.
See, but U2 like forced their album on people.
Yeah, I know. I just read an article the other day about like Apple had to release a U2 album removal tool.
It's like It's like album rape.
Yeah, like how do you do that? Like I remember, what was it, a few years ago when they were going on about people downloading their music, and now it's like people are like, we don't want you to on our fucking computer. And when it's like child porn, it's like, what if I fucking take my PC into PC World and like someone discovers that I've got U2 on there, you know? I'm going to be a laughing stock.
Wasn't me. Someone else.
Someone else. I lent it to an Irish person, and
yeah.
Fuck, like, you know, what do you expect?
So yeah, well, away from Paul McCartney, I'm not against games spending money on musicians to make a song.
Yeah, no, of course not.
But that should be like the cherry on the cake. And for me, Destiny, Bungie, they haven't made a cake.
You mean I was going to say like they've made the cake, but there's no icing on it?
Yeah. Well, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, I like the analog better.
Yeah,
I think the listeners will find my analog better as well.
Fuck yeah. But yeah, so they shouldn't have been spending money on these flourishes when they hadn't really got the game right.
Yeah.
And Tyrion Lannister, I'm not actually sure if is he a good actor?
I like him,
but his voice in Game of Thrones really annoys me.
Yeah, well, the thing is, he can't do an English accent because he's still there's something in there where he sounds like someone doing an English accent.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I can sort of forgive it in Game of Thrones, sort of, because, like, well, I don't know. I guess he's American, right? And then you've got like Jaime Lannister, who's I think he's Norwegian.
Is it?
I think he's Norwegian, and he does one of the best English accents that I've ever heard someone that's not English do. You know, like he pulls that off completely perfectly, and he isn't even like English isn't even his native language. So
damn Scandinavians.
Yeah. Well, they're just killing it. They're just boss. So yeah, like I don't know. I think he's a good actor, but maybe the English accent was just a bridge too far.
In this game, though, it honestly it sounds like he's reading all of his lines.
Well, someone said that he's not quite human, not quite robot in his.
It's just really weird. Like there's no personality to his voice. I guess if he's trying to be a robot, but he's got no. It's just everything's so on one level. Nothing's moving at all. It's just
so like. You kind of coming at this from a like, for instance, the I forgot what the robot's called in Portal 2, the Steve Merchant bot.
Yeah.
Like in that, like it's got real character and it becomes like a real kind of part of the whole story. And, you know, you're kind of looking forward to interactions with him. But like you say, in this, it's just like a sort of almost like a meaningless feature. Just like
yeah, because if you're going to have an actor who's famous, you're going to spend the money for that. And then give him blank lines to read. What's the point? I mean, he's not a voice. As far as I know, he's not a voice actor. You've got people out there, Nolan North, people like that.
Mark Hamill.
Yeah, people who are genuine voice actors. Why would you give it the job to someone who's not? Yeah. Spend so much money on him and then just make his lines totally nondescript.
Just crap.
Yeah.
Well,
and I don't know, it just feels as if sometimes I've spent the money in the wrong place. And there's a great thing I saw, and I can't remember where I saw it. I would reference it if I could, but someone's developed a drinking game for him. Every time he makes a comment, it seems that Peter Dinklage doesn't understand. You take a drink. Okay. So every time the character says something that the actor clearly doesn't understand.
Okay. Like you can hear it in his voice. Like.
So there's a drinking game involved in that apparently, but sorry, I can't remember where it's from. But yeah.
We'll try and find a link and put it in the show notes. So you can maybe look at that afterwards. In fact, all the stuff that we're going to talk about, we're going to try and get everything linked up. Yeah. So if you're getting it from iTunes, which hopefully you bloody well are, because we want ratings and shit.
Reviews, leave us some scores.
Yeah, no bad reviews though. Don't give us bad reviews.
Yeah. I mean, you can say that it's good podcast, but Andy's a cunt. I mean, that's fine with me.
Yeah, that's no. I mean, personal digs is fine, but don't dig the show.
Yeah,
it can't take it.
Yeah,
it's got security issues.
It's only 1 day old.
Yeah,
it's basically like you're punching a baby.
Yeah, and so don't punch a baby.
That's the moral of this podcast.
Don't punch the baby that is podcast or Pedestrians podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
So another few things to kind of go on the negative side. Not enough loot. It's basically a game that's like Borderlands, but in Borderlands you get loot coming out of every orifice.
Is that a bad thing? Because you've got sort of games out there like, for instance, DayZ now still in open early access.
Yeah.
And there's the thing is, that's sort of my benchmark now. I've been playing DayZ for so long that like the loot level in DayZ is kind of like my standard.
Right.
And then you got like back in the early days of DayZ, you got a mod of the mod, which was 2017. And what they did in that was they really pulled back all loot spawns, so there was almost nothing in the world, and that was the point of the game. So like, what I'm trying to come at from is like, sometimes I think the lack of loot can really make a game richer, because like it stops being the point of the game isn't that you're not just loot farming, you're not just running around picking up loads of crap. It becomes the biggest part of the game. It's like, oh fuck, I found loot. It's like the highlight of your day,
Yeah, I can see that argument, but then it takes away the PvP aspect of it, because if you're going into a PvP game, I went in when I was level 7, and there were guys in there at 20 odds and had amazing armour. I was getting one hit killed.
Yeah, so you think it sort of spoils that? Like they've just been grinding for gear.
Yeah.
Like if you've got some fucking some kid or like someone who's I don't want to say like some kind of unemployed scumbag.
Unemployed people, I mean.
Yeah, unemployed people. But like, yeah, if you've got someone that's literally got the time to spend gaming, like they can just fucking grind for gear and then just do it like every time. Like it's not easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, for me, there should be more loot. It makes you go on a mission for maybe an hour and you come back and you get 2 things.
Yeah, so you're like, what was the reward?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no distinction between the classes, so you can go as a hunter, a warlock, and I can't remember the other one at the moment. But there's no difference between the 3. So
at all, like, or seemingly at all. Like,
they look different, but there's no actual like. If you're taking on a big enemy, there's no point. There's no point in having 3 different classes.
Yeah, you sort of feel like they're all there's not enough difference between the characters, or seemingly none.
So in other games we should have a warlock in here because he can do this.
Well, like the thing was they did with Skyrim was you could like as you went through the sort of skill tree, you moved into an area, or I mean you could balance it out as well, but you got like I think it was like you could be a mage. Or a fucking like a warrior type character, or what. You could pick these different things, and there was massive differences between you'd approach things in different ways. Get around, you could fight with magic, or you could go in there and melee the shit out of someone, or just fucking like long distance attacks. So there's not really any of that.
Everyone's getting basically the same weapons. You've got a melee attack which is different for everyone, but it's not like you have a certain person that's going to be good at fighting a certain boss. It's just it's really strange. Like if you're going in to fight a big boss, you'd be as well taking 3 warlocks as you would taking 3 different ones.
Yeah, so you just and I think that might like sort of discourage people searching through the different players online to try and be like, shit, we need a fucking
we need one of these guys.
We need one of these guys. We haven't got one. We're just 3 measly warlocks, and we need like this dude as well.
Yeah.
And so it kind of stops that as well a little bit, which seems like a really missed opportunity.
Yeah, that's the thing. This game was in production for so long. They've spent so much money on what I see as being superfluous things, and they never really addressed the things that would be the basics of MMOs and first-person shooters.
Okay. Well, let's say because right now we seem to have kind of gone to all we've done is really concentrate on the sort of downsides, and I'm just thinking, and we've talked about it before. Like, do you think that now the game is out and released and they're getting feedback? Like, I can't imagine that they would be sitting there just sort of defending their position. I mean, like, it seems as though now maybe they've got the game out there, they can hear what people have got to say and really start to develop DLC and patches, and sort of now they've got the world there, maybe they can really start to push out.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing, because every so often there seems to be an update, and there are new things coming every day. They just had the new raid, which was beaten yesterday.
Yeah,
in 11 hours.
Jesus.
Yeah, so things like that are going to happen.
Wait, so 11 real-time hours?
Yeah, I think there was 1,600 deaths in it. I'm not sure if that was deaths among the players or deaths that they killed. 1,600 characters.
So basically, how many guys were playing?
6.
So 6 guys did one mission, and it took them 11 real-time hours to complete.
Yeah.
Jesus, that speaks volumes. I mean, in of itself, you have to sort of think, wow, 11 hours.
I mean, it's obviously got a lastability that people are enjoying. So I'll just touch on a couple of other negative aspects before I move on. There's no pause button because everyone's online at the same time.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I think there's that thing in like GTA 5 when you pause and you're online, like a little thing kind of pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't remember if you can die or not. I haven't played the online really for that long, but there's like a little thing that pops up to sort of show people that this person's offline.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're a bastard and you want to go kill offline people, sort of pause people. But I think maybe you can't do that. I can't remember, you know.
Well, the thing about this is it's not other people you're worried about. So if you press start or select start, I think it is, it comes up with you can change your weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you go to get a drink or something, the enemies would have killed you by the time you come back.
Yeah, and you're like, ugh.
So I went into this option.
Or what if you get a phone call from the bank or like?
Yeah. Obviously you ignore those, but
yeah.
So I was really punching above my weight last night. I went into this level 20 thing, and it was just wave after wave of enemies, and I'd destroyed one wave just before the next one started. I went in to try and get and invite one of my friends to join my fire team.
Yeah.
By the time I came back, I was dead.
Yeah, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. So and then you have to start that whole thing again.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
So there's no sort of checkpoints.
Well, there are checkpoints, but then when you get to this bit, it says that if you respawn here, you have to go back to the start of this bit.
Jesus.
So
that's one thing I can't believe. Like in a lot of games now, I've noticed that they've really dealt with checkpoints in missions, because I remember back in San Andreas and GTA. All the old GTA games until the very last one, the fucking checkpoints in the missions was you'd go literally through a 15-minute mission of doing this and doing that, and then you get killed at the very end of a mission, and you'd have to fucking redo those chase scenes where you've got to shoot someone from a car.
Yeah,
all those, and you get killed at the end. And you think, oh, I've got to do the whole thing again.
Yeah,
but now I think a lot of people are onto that, and they've, because no one likes that. A game's supposed to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's not supposed to be a fucking repetitive
slog.
Yeah. So, and I think that a lot of games have understood that and taken that on, and it surprises me that there are certain games out there that don't do that. Even Far Cry 3, the last time I played that, it was the same. You'd spend ages on these, run and gun missions, and then right at the end, what turned out to be when you completed it, the very last gunboat you had to shoot, got you, and you did. And you have to do the whole mission, and you're like, oh fuck this.
As you said, it's taking the enjoyment away. This is not so bad, because as soon as you respawn, you think it's it's a fun challenge.
Okay.
So it's not awful. Obviously, if you get killed right before the thing was going to end, you're going to be pretty gutted.
Yeah.
But it's still entertaining. The last couple of things I want to talk about. You've probably heard people mention repetitive missions, but I don't know if you understand exactly what I mean by this. All the missions are exactly the same.
Yeah.
You run through these rooms, killing people. You get to the end. You release Tyrion Lannister. He scans this machine or this door or this whatever.
Yeah.
And while he's scanning that, you need to take on 3 waves of enemies.
And that's the same.
It's just, once you've done that, you go on to the next mission, the same thing happens. I don't know why he's having to scan all these things. He's a scanning.
Does it not explain why?
It does, but I've got my headphones on by now.
So he's just like, you listen to Paul McCartney.
Yeah. Listen to the frog chorus.
Oh my god.
So,
boom, 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 boom.
So that's happening.
Wasn't that with Rupert the Bear?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure it was with Rupert the Bear. We're going to look that up, and we're going to try and put a YouTube link to that one, because that's fucking gold, man. If you're my age or our sort of age, then you can't remember that. Then there's something wrong with that. Was like my childhood. Fucking hell.
So Tyrion Lannister speaking, and all I'm hearing is the frog chorus in the background. But yeah, so and the last thing is it's an almost instant respawn of enemies. So when I just started, I got into this kind of building. I shot maybe 5 or 6 guys. Quite hard. One of them was a captain, so he's got 2 levels of his armour to take off.
Yeah.
Beat him, and then I did what I had to do in this house, and I went just to look at the scenery right at the back of the house. I was looking at
look around.
At the hills, the water, stuff like that. I turned round, they were back. I hadn't
what?
even left the zone. They'd come back.
So they haven't like because I think the best games disguise like sort of the respawning of waves behind some level of storyline, you know.
Nothing at all.
You know what I mean? It's like sometimes they'll be like, they respawn or they come back because of this or that. You know, they'll hide it behind some kind of mechanic, but they're just there.
I just turned around and somebody was shooting at me,
and you're like, oh,
I was just enjoying the view.
Yeah, bastard.
I know. I mean, spoiling my day. But having said all of those things about Destiny, I fucking love the game.
Yeah, well, you were saying the other day that you were itching to get back to it.
Right now, I'm itching to get away from this podcast and go and play it.
Yeah, it's like I want to go and play.
It's addictive. It's like gaming crack. I don't know. It's hard to really explain what it is. Like for me, the first thing I'll mention is that before this game came out, I was not an online player.
Yeah,
I had played Pro Evolution Online a few times, but when it came to online games, I always avoided them. I just wanted a good story with a one-player game.
Yeah,
this forces you to be online.
Forces your hand, so you're in there.
Yeah, and there's nothing I can do about it then, and I had to embrace it. And since then, I've fallen in love with online game.
Yeah, man, I can get on board with that.
That's the thing about it for me. When I went into it and I played PvP for the first time, I was getting my bum felt. Like, guys will just come up and owning me. Like, I was finished 0 kills, 14 deaths, no assists, these types of things. But it has made me feel better. And they got to a stage where this big purple eye appears, and he shoots out like purple lasers. At first, I thought this was unique, but there's loads of them throughout the game.
Yeah.
And my weapon was like a level 1 shitty handgun or something, and I'm trying to shoot this purple eye and I'm taking nothing off of it. So I'm hiding in this hut and I'm thinking I'm going to get destroyed here, it's going to end me. And then 2 other guys came from nowhere.
Yeah. And
like the 3 of us took it. I wasn't doing it, I was just shooting my rifle.
Yeah, but essentially like it's like your first experience of teamwork with someone else.
And I was like, this is amazing. I didn't know who the guys were, but it was
Can you speak to people? Like,
I can't. I've not got. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Is it because you're Scottish?
Yeah, I don't want to hear other people. I don't know.
You didn't want to play online though before. You didn't want to play with other people. Now you're loving it. Like, do you not think that, like, by that rationale, like, do you know what I mean?
Maybe embrace the headset.
Embrace it, because you said you embraced online gaming, and it turns out you haven't at all. You've just done the basic of what you've done, the very minimum that you needed to, and you haven't tried it.
I just don't want to feel as if I've just had my bum felt by like a 15-year-old boy that speaks with this.
That's online gaming. That's how it is, man. When I'm playing online gaming, most of the people that kill me are children, and then they laugh at you as well, and you're like, God damn it, I could swipe your head off with my backhand. You little shit.
I'm going to hunt you down and beat on you.
Yeah, like I'm going to hunt you down and kill your fucking parents, say you like that. But yeah, well, obviously it wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, I'd just break their back.
Yeah.
You know?
when I'm playing it at the moment, I'm imagining that all the people I'm playing again are like gaming alumni. You know, I mean, people that are 40 years old and are.
Yeah, that's what you like. That makes you feel better about the fact that you're getting fucking owned.
So yeah, and then I am on this football forum, and there's a Destiny thread up. So I added all the guys from there.
Yeah.
And so I have an extensive friends list now, and I've started playing. Like, they'll be playing a mission, and I'll just hit join fire team, and I'll come in their mission and help them out.
Okay, cool.
And they'll do the same to me. And there's a moon strike, it's called.
Yeah.
Where basically it lasts for a good hour and a half, and you're just going through 3 zones. And me and a couple of guys, one of the guys on the forum said that he tried it a couple of times, he didn't know how to beat it, so the 3 of us went in. After an hour and a half or something, we completed it.
Got it done.
It felt good. You can talk to the guys later about it and stuff. And I know people listening to this will be like, "What the fuck's this guy talking about? This is online gaming," but it's just new to me. You know,
that's a good thing though. I mean, because like a lot of us, I think, forget the thing. Well, I'm hoping that people that do listen to this, presumably there'll be a lot of them who are big online gamers. Some of them maybe like you as well, or what you used to be, where you haven't accepted it yet. You haven't made that step. I mean, I've only just started online gaming in the last year, really, because I didn't want it either. I didn't want the fucking the menace of just getting pissed around with by people. But I think then once you get into it, depending on what you're playing, obviously, like I think the online gaming community has really grown up over the last few years, and you don't get. Well, I'm sure you do get trolled a lot still, but it seems to be more like it's found its area. It's found how it's supposed to work. And like people tend to they tend to do it properly now.
Yeah.
I haven't had people fuck with me in unimaginative ways for a long time now when I've been playing online. So I think maybe this is good for people.
Yeah, it adds, like, for me, it adds a whole kind of personal experience behind it, because even if you're playing with guys you don't know, at the end of the mission, the three of you are standing there. One guy will end up pressing the dance button, and then all three of you start dancing, and it's so stupid.
Yeah,
but it gives you like a human touch. You know, exactly. there's a human. And
someone's behind it.
Yeah. So things like that, and you're talking about the mediocre reviews and stuff, and I think one of the problems with it is the people reviewing the game are people that are online obsessed. People that have played MMOs, people that have played first-person shooters, people that have been online gamers for years.
Yeah, well, this is their job as well. Their job appears to be playing games.
Yeah, and so they're saying, okay, this game isn't as good as MMO A, B, and C. It isn't as good as first-person A, B, and C.
Yeah,
but the people that are playing the game, the people that are addicted to the game at the moment, are not those people. I think Destiny has been purchased and been enjoyed by people that played Call of Duty and people that played FIFA beforehand.
Yeah.
And for those guys, this is their first experience of an MMO.
Yeah, they haven't really had this before. Now they're finding something,
and they're enjoying it.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, it's like MMO, first-person shooter for dummies.
Okay.
And I think people are really, really enjoying that fact.
Well, that's I was going to say that's something that, like, no one can say with certainty, like, unless we do like an independent study.
Yeah, of course.
but for sure, like,
are we going to do that?
I tend to agree. I'm not going to do it.
No,
I agree with you though. I think that is. I mean, people must be enjoying it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one would be fucking playing the game.
No, and I mean, the place it's always chock-a-block when you go online. I mean, it's,
yeah. So that's pretty much that. But like, what else is there?
Well, I mean, you ask where the money went. And I think it's clear to see that it's gone in the visuals. I mean, see if you're it's constantly changing the time of day. So sometimes it's in the morning, night, etc.
Yeah, like morning, afternoon, and night.
Those are the three types.
Unlike a cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's amazing how they do that.
Yeah, it's like they watched what happens in a world and then just emulate that.
Where did they get the idea from?
Yeah, genius.
So when you stand and look up at the sky is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in gaming. The clouds are moving. The clouds are just so like complicated looking.
Is it? Do you know if it's fucking hell? You know, like it's not. It's not like it's not like an image. It's like it is. They are like volumetric clouds. They are like.
It looks like that to me. It looks, and like, honestly though, you need to come over and play it, man. It's just. The visuals are just amazing, especially of the sky. And there's this bit. You have three types of missions. Okay, you have a story mission.
Yeah.
You have a thing called a strike, which is the thing I spoke about earlier, where you go in with friends and you have like an hour and a half of them.
Okay.
And then you have this thing called patrol. And patrol is basically you get to go around whichever planet you're on. So you start on Earth, then you've got Moon, and then you've got Venus, and then I think Mars is next. So the patrol is it's like a sandbox, and you go in this and you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
The enemies are still there, that were always in the same places, and there are things that light up and you can go on missions. When you're on patrol, you're just fucking about, whatever, the sky will suddenly get dark, and it will say like an optional incoming thing.
Yeah.
And then this massive fucking ship comes over you, blocks out the light and everything, and then something will go into the ground. It's like a thing that you need to defend. And then for free, this probably happens in other games as well.
Yeah, I know the sort of mission you mean.
Yeah, and then you've got 3 minutes to defend this. Other people can join in at the same thing and stuff. And that in itself is not unique. It's not that special. But just the way the graphics go with the sky when this happens.
Yeah, it's just very pretty to look at. And
it's like the noise that's made with it. The ground starts shaking. Your screen, the image on your screen starts shaking. When I first experienced it, I was fucking terrified. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And it's just like, it looks amazing. It really looks fantastic. And common things with the first person shooters, the guns are great.
Yeah.
Feel amazing. The melee, I actually think I've probably killed more people with my melee than I have with my gun in the game. You get close to them, I'm a warlock, I just like shunt them forward in my hand, the blue spark comes off, and basically you can one hit kill, two hit kill people. and it's awesome. There's one thing to basically summarise what I'm talking about. I saw this in Polygon last night. It was a headline. It said Destiny is a mediocre game with a lot of problems. I can't stop playing it.
Yeah.
And
so you think that sums it up?
Yeah. It's what I've got in my head is it's like the Twitterification of gaming. People will go in. They have the 3 different options. It's like an a la carte menu. You can choose whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
Spend an hour and a half, spend 2 hours, 3 hours doing that, and then you go away. You play something else, or you'll do something else.
Yeah.
And then by the time you've done something else, you want to come back and do that again.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Like you can.
It's not a game you'd sit on all day unless you're doing the 11-hour.
Yeah, for sure.
Raid. Yeah.
Which is the way that goes. So basically, what you're saying is, you sum it up with that Polygon quote.
Yeah.
It isn't a perfect game, but you can't help wanting to go back into it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you would say, like, if you had to stamp the review as like good, bad, or ugly, you'd be like, I think this is a good review.
It's a good experience.
Yeah.
It's not a good game. It's just a really good experience.
Yeah. So you would say, like, yes, like,
yeah, buy it.
Yeah, buy it. Go enjoy it if you think it's going to be your thing.
I mean, online, I was looking last night, and all the comment sections about if only the money could have made a good game and stuff like that. The people that are saying that are probably really, really experienced MMO players and really experienced. And if you are that, then you're probably not going to get much enjoyment out of this.
Yeah,
game.
you think this is like you think this is more of a game for people maybe who haven't done much MMO before.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to first-person shooters, you've got your Armour and your Counter-Strike, your Battlefield. That's basically what the snobs play.
Yeah,
and then you've got Call of Duty, which is what everyone else plays.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good astute observation as well, especially because you're not a real
no,
you know into that. But like for me, you find like people really, you know, there's that whole generation of people who now refer to. Like people who aren't really serious gamers, but our first person, they're like, it's like the COD kiddies, you know?
Yeah.
Like they're really fucking, it's like, oh god, I bet he plays Call of Duty. It's that real, like, trashy, like they're the sun readers, the sun readers of video games.
Yeah.
Like.
So I think Destiny will really appeal to basically the sun readers of video games.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them.
Which you are one of.
Yeah, which is disgusting. I'm going to go and have a shower now.
Yeah, go have a shower and wash the filth.
Yeah.
So, well, I've been playing. I've been doing like I guess technically in the language of reviews and shit like that, we call it like a replay. But
okay.
I've really been getting back into GTA 5 again. I guess like the fact that it's coming out on PC and
yeah, I'm really looking forward because I held off because I knew it was going to come on PS4 eventually. So
yeah,
I've not even played it.
Well, this is the thing. Like I was been reading a lot more about it again. It's back in all the the magazines and websites because it's coming back out on that. And so I thought, well, I'll go back and do it. I mean, I think it took me about a month and a half of kind of casual play to finish the story mode, and I did a bit of online with it. It's mostly sat collecting dust for like the last probably like 10 months.
Okay.
So I pulled that back out and I restarted the whole thing again, and I'm going back through that. And again, like when I first played it, I remember just thinking like, wow, they've fucking really polished the whole thing. You know, everything that I thought the first time round it's just completely exactly the same. This time round, I'm finding myself like reacting the same way to things that I'd forgotten about. You know, or the dialogue in cutscenes, just everything about the game. I'm just like, fuck, this is great. You know, like it's such an enjoyable game, and I'm having the exact same experience the second time round.
I was a big fan of GTA 3.
Yeah,
I played Vice City and I played San Andreas, but when it came to 4, something just stopped me after maybe 5 hours. I just couldn't get past it.
Well, 4 like got a lot of shit, I think, because it's for me. 4 like lacked a lot of stuff. Like I don't think it was a bad game. I must have played hundreds of hours of it, but yeah, like there was. It seemed small. Like its scope wasn't that big, you know. And I'd probably get a bit of hate, but I didn't really like the Nico character. I couldn't really get behind him.
That's funny. A lot of Americans seem to love the Nico character.
Well, I think that's because he was so exotic.
Yeah.
To like the thing is, like you get a lot of games that are based in America, and then like obviously a lot of war games, you know, go with Middle Easty type stuff now, and then you've got like your fantasy, which is somewhere else. But what I think is like for the American audiences, you get like these European characters. And I think it's just so exotic to them because you don't really get a lot of that. I mean, you get those like films like Ronin, these kind of like spy intrigue things.
Yeah.
They always seem to be in and around Europe somewhere. You know, you've got some
always
Russians.
like Frankfurt.
Yeah, you've got some Russians or some Germans, some French in there, and like, you know, like there's always some snobby English dude in there as well. You've got all this kind of thing, and I think the fact that you've got this European or like sort of Eastern European immigrant in New York, I think it appealed to sort of a curious sort of dark side of people who's like whose kind of vision of what that person might be was, you know, like they felt like this is like a proper fucking gangster, man.
I suppose it's like the kind of modern American story as well. It's like the immigrant coming over on the boat.
Yeah,
the way like, they all came over on the boat.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. That's what exactly. It harks back to that. Like all through the fucking 70s, there was like rakes of films sort of looking back on like the Italian and Sicilian immigrants and stuff like that. And I think it comes back to that. It's that whole thing of, you know, like the new kid on the block. You know, not the band.
I quite liked the band. No, I never.
So,
my brother, if he ever listens to this podcast, he had a poster, a New Kids on the Block poster.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
We'll have to put a picture of your brother on the website.
Link to a picture of my brother.
If you see this guy, then shout New Kids on the Block. So, but yeah, I think that's why the American market really loved that. But now, I think with the new system they've got, where you go between the characters. Looking back at it again, the first time I got to it, I wasn't sure if I liked it. I knew it was something new, and I knew I was supposed to like it, and I knew everyone else liked it, but I wasn't sure if I liked it, you know. The more I played the game, the more I think they spent so much time doing the characters. You can't help but love each one of them for their own little things, you know. Like my runaway character, I want to be Trevor out of it. He's like the...
Is that the sociopath?
Yeah, he's like the sort of soft-centered psychopath.
Okay.
And I just fucking... All the cutscenes when you come into him, they've taken so much time developing his character. Like, pre-production I'm talking, they must have written, you know, like rakes, because there's so many like references to like history, things that have happened in the past that have got nothing to do with the game, you know? And it's those little details, those little touches. Like the sort of relationship between Trevor and Michael is one where you can tell there's that kind of really old friend thing where they're big friends, but they pretty much just hate each other, you know? Like all best friends, you've got that real coarse relationship. And then you've got Franklin and one of his friends who you don't get to play him, but Lamar is the dialogue between them two. I literally just I put my joypad down when it's one of their cutscenes and just sit back with my fingers, you know, like all my fingers meshed together and just like intently watch the screen because it's just fucking. It's just hilarious. Like the stuff.
Were you implying masturbation there?
I don't recall a masturbation. Maybe sort of pre-game they experimented.
Okay.
With sort of mutual masturbation, but. You know, we'll never know.
Okay.
We will never know. But no, that's one of the things. Just all the interactions, and then the little side missions, the way the storyline's developing. You know, you can get involved in everything. There's that kind of thing with Skyrim. I think this. I don't know who else thinks it, but I think that Skyrim looks gorgeous and everything's lovely. But the environment is just so shallow. You know. Like there isn't anything. There's nothing. You can't really interact with the environment so much, you know. And what I found with GTA 5 is, you can't interact with the environment. You can't like go and, you know, like break into a house or something like that. But what I find is the environment is so it's realistic and there's a lot going on all the time. You've got people walking by, like in any other games. There's all this stuff, and I find it brings it to life. Like you really feel like you're in a city when you're walking around. It's like, great, I'm really in this city there, and the different areas have got different character, and like I could just drive around, you know, and just look at things, and there's things you can get involved in with the online now. You can enter races, or there's always something to do, you know. There's constantly something going on.
A couple of things that I disliked about 4. I really disliked.
We're not talking about. They're talking about 4.
No, but just to see if they have changed it for 5.
Yeah, no, go on.
I really disliked the driving. It felt as if they'd gone very like Gran Turismo, so you had to be really realistic driving, as opposed to like an arcade. Have they continued that, or?
I think so. Yeah, I think they've. The driving feels different to GTA 4, but for me, like I go the other way. Like I don't like arcade feel.
Right.
You know, like, I want to feel like when I'm driving a car in a game. I want to I want that kind of GTA feel where Gran Turismo feel.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, you know, you go in a corner and your joypad's rumbling, and you can almost, like, you can feel the tyres losing traction. Like, I really love that thing, and it is more arcadey than that, but it's still, like, I'd say it's on par with 4. Like, it's not, I don't think it's more arcadey.
I never like braking when I'm in a car. I just press the button to drive.
I think that's just childishness, to be honest.
I think your face is just childish.
I think when you get that whole group of people, when I used to play Gran Turismo back in the day, I was the only kid out there who was fucking buying expensive brakes on my cars. And all my mates would be like, what are you getting that for? You want to go faster? It's like, yeah, but I also want to be able to stop the fucking car when I'm coming into corners, you know?
There's no stopping involved.
Yeah, but if you can't brake, then you can't go around a corner quickly.
But don't you think a game like GTA 5 should be, I don't know, should it be chasing that realism, or should it be...
Well, no, I think they've got the balance. I think it's realistic enough to keep pedants like me at bay, and it's arcadey enough for like people who like the arcade style to be able to fall into it. Like it's not like simulator style.
Right.
It's different to that. But the thing is, because they've got the damage on the cars, I think you can't really have pure arcade. You know, like with all this damage, because you need to have it affecting the way it drives when it's damaged, and that does. And I don't know. I just think like they've got the balance just right. You know, like it suits pretty much a lot of playing styles.
The other thing that I didn't like, the mission is early on in 4 where you had to like walk with the woman to the bowling alley.
Yeah, that was boring, wasn't it?
I think that's when I stopped playing.
Just listen to her chat shit for like minutes. You're just like, oh my god. But the one thing they did do well in that is Nico's face the whole way through. Like the outside of his eyebrows were constantly down. It's just like you're just like, really?
Is that what you think?
No, I sort of think that they've gone away from that.
Yeah.
There are some missions where you kind of like, God, like, oh, this is. But it's, I don't know, like it's done with a humour and a sort of like a self-awareness, you know.
Yeah.
That they I think some of the missions are certainly nods to the fact that they've moved away from certain things as well.
And Assassin's Creed, apparently you can like review the mission afterwards, so that they can know whether they should do that type of mission again. Did they have that in GTA?
I can't remember actually. Okay. I know online you can rate missions,
right?
Because people can create missions online, and you can play other people's missions that they've created, and so you can review them. And I guess that's probably a good idea. But what I think is that it feels like Rockstar have really worked on the feedback they got from like all the GTA games, and also Red Dead Redemption, which is one of my fucking all-time favourite games.
Yeah.
Like they really pulled everything they've learned together and just made a fucking dope game, you know.
So do you think there'll be Red Dead next, or do you think there'll be GTA 6?
God knows. Like I really hope, and I haven't read up anything on this because it's that thing of like almost not wanting to know.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to know if they're not going to make another Red Dead because it'll crush me. And like I really hope they do another Red Dead because I fucking love that whole like Western thing, you know. Like I love being a fucking cowboy. It's like all of, you know, in your childhood, you either pretend to be a soldier or like a cop or a cowboy or a spaceman, and we've had all of that, you know what I mean? And there's very few games that do cowboy well, and Red Dead Redemption is, for me, the best one. Mm-hmm. Like we had Gun back in the mid 2000s. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't think so.
Well, there was that, which was okay, and they really tried. It was sort of semi-open world, but the stories were sort of not great.
Yeah,
and the world was not big enough for me. But in Red Dead Redemption, they really captured it. Just incidental music, like tiny touches, like when you're in the desert and it rains. And like you can see sort of puddles forming in the dry sand.
Yeah.
And like, but as you walk through them, you get like the waves off your feet, and You get like like the raindrops make things in there, like little ripples, and it's just one of those things. And you've got this amazing sort of like deserty steel guitar in the background, and it's just like fucking brilliant. But it's also one of the games that there's this one sound effect in it. If you're getting chased by a cougar, there's this one cougar sound effect, and if I hear it anywhere, I'm just instantly looking around like, what the fuck? Like, it just, as soon as you hear that noise, you're just like, oh shit, let's go. Like, and they'll attack your horse and get you off the horse and fucking do you. But,
is this like an older woman chasing a younger man cougar? Or is it?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Yeah,
oh, right.
It's like a sort of.
They're always knocking me off my horse.
Yeah, it's like a 45-year-old woman.
A handbag off the horse.
Yeah, it's just knocking you off with a leopard skin handbag. And, no, it's an actual
cat,
an actual big cat. Yeah,
that's harking back to Destiny with the Paul McCartney thing. I mean, Red Dead was such an amazing game that they polished off with an amazing score.
Yeah, well, it makes a difference. I mean, it's really part of the ambience of the game and the feel of it is, and it, like, I don't know if people forget it. It's just that I think some people don't do it so well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. Like the soundtrack of anything, it can make or break. Like imagine 28 Days Later with like an orchestral score instead of that kind of electronic, kind of grungy, Brit poppy thing. It would have completely changed the feel of the film.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it would have made it worse, but it would have made the soundtrack polished, and the visuals weren't that polished. So the soundtrack, they picked the right kind of ambience.
Good combination.
Yeah, it really worked well together.
I love this. I can't remember the name of the guy, but the track that played when he went into Mexico for the first time.
Yeah. When you sort of crossed the bridge.
Yeah.
In Red Dead.
That was. I mean, I actually just sit and listen to that song sometimes.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like, all the Mexico missions are amazing. I mean, the Mexico side of things is like, it's really sparse, and I remember thinking like, God, it's miles between everything. But it's miles of loads of shit going on. There's those little random missions and stuff. But yeah, like, again, so I'm saying, they've taken everything they learned from those games and they pushed it all into GTA 5, and I just think it works really well. Some of the kind of scripted missions, well, they all are, but there's this one where you're flying this huge airplane with Trevor, and there's a lot going on in that, and it just, I haven't had that before in a GTA game. There's just such big things going on. You got to shoot a fucking private jet down with an RPG, and just these crazy things where you're like, fucking, this is amazing. But yeah, like, absolutely, I'm just enamored with the whole thing. I can't stop going back to it again.
So the 18th of November, I should be buying this game?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think everyone who hasn't played it because they're waiting for it to come out, if just buy it, just buy it and play it. It's got something for everyone.
I just read that your save game from your Xbox or your PS3 goes over to the 4 or a PC. So if you wanted to get the PC version, you could move your save over.
Move your save game across. Well, that's a really good. See, that's the sort of thing I'm talking about with Rockstar.
Yeah, it's a good carrot.
Yeah, they know what they're doing in terms of things like that. And
I think it's probably the Scottishness that brings that professionalism there.
You reckon that?
Yeah. I mean, that's what brings the professionalism to this podcast. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other game you were playing, Ingress.
So Ingress, man. Well, this is on Android, and I had never heard of it. I didn't know what it was, and while I was listening to another popular podcast, I say another because it's obviously popular. While I was listening to another popular podcast, I had a little pop up on my phone that just said Ingress, and I thought that looks all right. I didn't know what it was.
I like the look of it.
Just the look. It was like a map, and there was sort of these portals and shit coming through, like these sort of lights, and I thought, it looks like it could be all right. I like the idea that it was on a map that reflected where you are, and so I looked at it. It was free, and I thought, well, I'll try it. And basically, the backstory is that when you go in, it gives you a sort of choice. You can be enlightened. You can join the side of the enlightened or the side of the resistance. The resistance being blue and the enlightened being green. And there are these portals that pop through, like on a real-time map, and that they sort of spew out this energy, this exotic matter. And what you have to do is you have to go and seize the portals and control them, and get as many for your side as you possibly can. And you have to sort of capture them by putting these resonators around them that you get. And as you're walking around,
so how do you like? What do you mean? So you're walking around with your mobile phone.
Yeah.
How do you physically do this?
I use my legs and just like put one in front of the other.
Wow.
Okay.
So that's a level of comedy.
Yeah, you asked that. No. Okay. So you get like let's say you go for a walk around town, and what you do is
am I wearing?
You've got your shorts, okay. T-shirt maybe.
Nice.
Just as long as you're not going to get arrested for indecent exposure, it's all good.
Yeah.
So you got your phone out and possibly with headphones because it talks. And I did get caught out. Lots of people were looking at me because my phone was talking to me, and I could see the judgment in people's eyes. Like, look at that fucking nerd over there.
He's unemployed.
Playing some kind of pretend game where he's pretending to be an agent. Oh, probably isn't he important? Yeah.
Probably never been with a woman.
Yeah.
Bastards.
So you get your phone, and as you turn around, it's just like a normal like Google Maps or something. But it's all in sort of shades of black and grey, so it looks kind of secret agent-y and stuff.
Nice.
And you can see them, and they're usually next to like historical monuments or like things of importance somewhere. So like by a statue or a fountain, or maybe there's like a plaque on a wall.
Okay.
Things like that. So it's not just like on the corner of fucking Jenkins and Second there's a bin you've got to find. It's not like that. It's like there'll be a thing and you click on it and it'll give you a photograph of the monument or whatever it is that it's next to, and it'll be named after it.
Okay.
So it'll be like Victoria statue, Victoria Square, and then it'll give you a bit of information about it, and you have to go there. And what it is, as you walk around, you walk past these portals, and some of them are yours and some of them are enemy ones. And as you walk by them, you click on yours, and anything that's from your team, you can recharge the resonators on there so that they're all full, and they will sort of keep the portal as yours. There's 8 of these on each one, and they all have to be yours, and they all have to be fully charged to sort of keep it safe, because an enemy could come along and destroy a few of them, and then you can't link that portal to anything else then. So if you walk past something that's been knocked at and it's running low, then you can recharge it from your power supplies, which you get more of as you level through.
Okay.
And then the point is that you get these with 8 resonators on each one, and then you can link it to another one.
Mm-hmm.
And the higher your level, the further you can link. So for instance, you could link one on one corner of the town, and then you could walk like 6 kilometers to the other side of town and find one there, and then one somewhere, and you could essentially draw a huge square or triangle over whatever town it is you're in, and then when you connect all 3 together, it'll make a I think it's called a control field.
I think it's a triangle.
You create a control field, and that's sort of, you get points for the size of it and whatnot, and you could do that. You can link one to more than another one. You can link maybe 2 or 3 coming from one, and you can link everything together. And the point.
What level are you at just now, and how long is that?
I think I'm on 3, and it took me a few days to get to level 3. The top level is 8.
And how far can you go? What's the reach of that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think the longest link I've got was like 1.5 kilometers.
Okay.
But the point is that this game gets you walking around,
right?
And I was like, oh god,
Exercise.
Really, I got to walk around, and I found myself like going, I'll just go and get this, because some new portals are just white.
Right.
And they haven't been captured by anyone. So they're the low hanging fruit. So you go and grab them, and then like you look on your thing, and there's another one, and like half a kilometre away, and you think, I'll just get that one as well,
Yeah.
So you walk to that one, and then you realise there's loads of other enemy portals. So you go and have a look at them, and what you can do is you can hack a portal. It doesn't matter if it's your side or not, and it spits out like a power cube which you can recharge from, like a portal key, which is what you need to link to things. So if I want to link to a portal on the other side of town, I have to have been to that and got the portal key from it, and it has to be in my inventory for me to be able to ever link to that from anything else.
Okay.
So you can't just link to a random one, or you could do it. You could bring the key somewhere across town, drop it, and I can come pick that key up, and then I've got the key to that portal as well.
Right. I see.
So that's how that works.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it encourages people to work together.
Is this gamification of exercise, was that intentional?
I think it definitely was. I think the whole point was that because you got the whole geocaching thing, and I think what they wanted to do was something along those lines, where it got people going to physical locations in the real world to carry out an action in a game world, And I mean, it is. I don't know if it's like a global phenomenon quite at that point, but if you go onto their website, which again we'll put a link to, then they have these regular news reports, and there's a hell of a lot going on. There's a guy thinking of using it for like teaching and education implications as well, and there's huge communities of people that go out in force and literally decide today we're gonna go capture this town, and they will just fucking go through and like get all the portals and get it turned to their side. And there are also then these sort of artifacts that I can't remember exactly how. I don't want to embarrass myself by stating facts, but let's say there's 20 artifacts in the world, and it's whichever side is controlling those artifacts. And you can sort of pass them around the world. Okay. So you can pass them from person to person and bring them around. And I think there's things where you have to get them to a certain point safely. So you have to create control zones to bring them through. That's on your side.
Right.
And so it really is a global effort to try and get something together,
So we live in a kind of relatively small town.
Yeah.
Would you get more out of this game if you were living in Glasgow or London or something like that? Or would you get less?
No. I think that because it's not reliant on anything else other than have you got a mobile phone, or have you got an Android? Are you using it? Did you download the game? And even here, like I look around and there's a shitload of portals. And a few days ago, I was sort of sitting in the house trying to capture one of the portals right outside my front door because I was quite low level, so I was just constantly attacking it and then leaving it for an hour to power up and then attacking it again. And I eventually captured it. And as I did this, I noticed that a portal about 50 metres away from my house went from blue to white and then to green, and I was like, shit, someone's out there.
You've been attacked?
No, it was someone on my side attacking another resistance portal. And so I was like, shit, and then I noticed the portal across the road from where I live had been kept. So I ran to the front window and there's these couple of lads across the road with like their phones in their hand, just kind of walking. I was like, oh, no way. I was thinking of like knocking on the window and waving to them until I realised they would have no idea who I was or why I was waving to them.
You should have invited them up for tea.
You got to be careful as well. Yeah, they could be, but just because they're also just because they're in line, it doesn't mean that they're not psychos.
They're not actually enlightened.
Yeah, stranger danger. Yeah, we can't forget that. But yeah, bang on game, really really addictive. But if you're out and about, if you're one of those, if you're a traveller, if you're
like a gypsy.
Yeah. I think that's racist. Actually.
Is that racist?
I think gypsy's racist.
Roman people.
I don't think there's any Romans left, apart from actually people from Rome, but not in the sense that we think Roman. Not with like a giant toothbrush on their head or anything.
Okay.
Like, you mean like a Romany?
Like roaming about?
I don't know.
Let's not be racist.
Yeah. Well, no, we can be racist to racists. Like I hate racists.
I don't know if anyone said this before, but racism is bad.
Yeah, we should just get the message out. We're really serious about about people not being racist because it is bad, and don't do drugs. Yeah, and anything like that. We can't endorse anything like this. But now it sounds like we're ironically sort of endorsing racism.
Are we being?
It sounds like that sounded like it was like we were telling people in an ironic way not to take drugs because everyone knows that drugs really are quite good.
Ironically, we're endorsing drugs, but we're not ironically endorsing racism.
We're not ironically endorsing racism at all.
I think we should move on from this madness.
Unless it's against Scottish people, then it's fine.
We're not a separate race, man. We're from the same island.
Well, so are people on the earth. They're all the same race. We're all human. People are like, oh, it's racist. It's like, well, are you trying to say that somebody different colour than me is a different race? Because I think we're all the same race.
But right, this is going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're going down the rabbit hole here.
I think we should move on to news now.
Yeah, we should move on to news before we become the news. No, actually, it's time for Germans on the Bridge.
This is my favourite time.
Yeah? Germans on the Bridge time. Yeah. Check it out.
And welcome to this week's episode of Germans on the Bridge.
A recent study shows that children who play video games are less likely to commit real-life acts of crime. So the question is, what's your least favourite thing about children?
They're loud.
Usually they're too loud. And I especially don't like children who have bad habits. If they just yell and scream to get attention, that's the most annoying thing about them.
They're loud with... Yeah... No, they scream. to get something, and I don't like it.
So what's your least favourite thing about kids?
Their parents.
My least favorite thing about children.
Yeah.
In general, I like to play video games. No, in general, I like children. They just get annoying over a larger amount of time.
So yeah, so exposure.
That's the other thing. Exposure.
Exposure to children is your least favourite thing.
No, like large exposure to children.
Yeah, like spending
but
time.
In general, I really have cousins and stuff.
You're cool with
I
them.
love them, but
They've got more free time than me. That's annoying.
Maybe that everybody thinks they're so innocent, but
They're demons.
in reality they can be demons. So.
German children or
Any children. Any children.
Many children now are so stupid. I don't know.
Yeah.
How can I tell you?
They don't know things.
Yeah, don't know things. Have no respect.
Yeah.
Well, what I don't like about children the most is that you cannot do anything to them because they're untouchable. Even if they behave wrong and they know they behave wrong, they can play you so much because they know they're untouchable. And that's what I don't like about children.
My least favorite thing about children is that they always require attention. Like they want your constant attention. You always have to, watch out for them and
stuff.
Yeah, stuff.
Germans on the bridge.
So that was Germans on the bridge, which we would come in today, but we haven't done it yet, so we can't really talk about it
because we're going to add it in later.
Yeah, because we're going to do that later by the magic of modern computer things.
Computer things.
Yeah, we can make it sound as though we've pre-done that, but we haven't. So
but haven't we just ruined the magic by telling?
Then we'll just edit it out. But then
we're going to edit this bit out.
that's the paradox of it. I think we should leave the paradox in.
We're going down the racist rabbit hole again.
let's leave that rabbit hole behind. Racist rabbit hole.
Goddamn racist rabbits.
It's not the racist rabbits, it's the racist rabbit holes.
Yeah. Which
apparently is a real thing now. So news. What's going on in news?
Well, I think
do we need like a little jingle for the news?
You could do like the noise of like what's that?
I can just do it now if you want.
Go for it.
News.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I'll chop that and make a jingle out of it.
As you can see, I definitely bring professionalism to the podcast.
Yeah, well, you're the polish and I'm the rough wood.
Yeah. I was going to make a rough wood comment there, but I was just
let's just leave it. Let's just leave it.
Yeah.
So
the first thing I think we should talk about is probably the biggest, the $2.5 billion.
Well, okay, 2.5 or 2.4. I've seen mixed reviews. No one knows. Where's that 0.1 of a bill gone?
That's going in someone's back pocket.
Yeah, I think it's going in someone's back pocket as well.
It's a big back pocket.
Yeah, not in Notch's back pocket.
No, because they wouldn't. No, I'm not even going to make it.
No, let's just. We don't want to get into it. So it's a big deal now.
Oh, I mean, I don't play Minecraft because I'm not a child.
Yeah. Well, I don't play it because it doesn't appeal to me. I get it. I understand why people play it, and that's cool. And I understand that it's literally like I think it's like the biggest game thing right now. Yeah. But the sale of it and the thing that I find really weird is like everyone kind of is going on about like, oh, like Notch has really gone back on what he said. $2.4 fucking billion, man. I'd go back on what I said for $2.4 billion.
It's like that. Is it Groucho Marx? These are my ethics, and if you don't like them, I've got new ones.
Yeah.
it's essentially that. I mean, the thing about it is having that money and then being able to do whatever independent project he wants. I mean,
well, that's it. That whole thing of like imagine if you could literally, if you had the resource and the money, which equals time, to do anything you wanted. Like that's what he's got that now. 2.4 billion.
Yeah. He
never ever needs to do anything ever again. He can do what he wants to do.
And he does. He's like a DJ and stuff like that as well. So he basically can just live the rest of his life in happiness.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I don't want to be accused of like sending out the message of money equals happiness. But the point here is that for me personally, like money for me buys me time.
Yeah.
So if I've got a lot of money, for instance, which I haven't, but if I've got a lot of money, then what that means is I don't have to work and not and obviously anyone listening they don't know me, so they can't like sort of go like, oh, what do you like? But like I'm never doing nothing, man. I'm always doing something. Like it's rare that I will sit down and for me, sitting down and doing nothing is watching a film. I listen to podcasts when I go to bed. If I'm walking somewhere, if I'm driving or on a train, I'm listening to an audiobook or something. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm usually making something or I'm working on something. I'm doing a little job for someone. Like I'm never doing nothing.
So actual employment we get in the way of that?
Yeah, that's what I mean. For me, I just quit a job like a month and a half ago because I needed to get on with different projects and work was in the way of those projects. So for me, I don't see money as a measure of wealth. Mm-hmm. Like for me, the wealth for me is having the time to do the things that I want to do with my life. And I don't think in my life I'll have the time to do everything that I want to do already, you know?
Yeah.
But if someone said like, this idea that you had like a few years ago, we want to give you 2.4 billion for that idea. I think that's, well, first of all, you got the vindication of it, which is had through it being a blow-up success.
Yeah.
But then you've also now you just like it's someone giving you the key to your own life and saying you've won the game, man.
Yeah.
You can do what the fuck you want, and I think that's a brilliant thing, man. And I don't think he's a sellout or he's gone back. I think he's done exactly the right thing.
It's like the end of a video game, the end of Infamous or Batman or something like that. You've completed the game, and then you can just roam about the city. I mean, that's what he's done. He's completed the game. He can just roam about the city.
He's won life.
Yeah, but I mean, away from that, like, do you think it's Are Microsoft crazy? I mean, it's already sold 50 million copies.
Well, like everybody's got the game.
Everyone's got the game.
Well, I don't. Obviously, we're not Microsoft, so we can only speculate, you know. But I think for them, I think they'll develop it. I think they'll change things. And I don't know. I can't say for sure whether their involvement will be good or bad for the game and the community as it stands now. But certainly they must see an opportunity to make money somewhere. Mm-hmm. Otherwise they just wouldn't have done that.
Well, I mean, it's like Lego and video games, isn't it? So, I mean, anything that Lego has done so far, Minecraft could copy. I mean, they could be Minecraft films. They could even like expand the merchandise into other things that Lego already do.
Yeah, well, there is that as well. In fact, that's an analogy I'd never thought of before. I'd never thought of that.
I probably stole it from somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have many creative thoughts.
No, you just like read other people's things and take it from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's exactly right, actually. Like, because in the 80s, I remember going out and buying Lego stuff, and they'd done police, they'd done pirates, they'd done this and that, and they'd done space, and I was like, well, where can they possibly go from here? There's nothing else left, and they just keep going. They got Lego Technic which I fucking love, by the way. I love Lego. It's got suspension stuff in there. I love suspension stuff.
It would end up being like Minecraft will release blocks, and then it would be like a snake eating its own tail. It's just
they'll slowly crush Lego.
Yeah, it's really weird. But I mean,
have you noticed one thing though? In different countries, like people call Lego different things. Like I've heard a lot of Europeans referring to Lego as Lego, which is just I want to correct them, and then I have that thing that goes, maybe I'm saying it wrong. How do the Danish say it?
How do the Danish say it?
If anyone knows that, or if you are Danish, let us know, because we don't know what the right way of saying it is. And one thing that annoys us is when people call it Legos. Go and play with your Legos. It's like, is it pluralised? Because you are playing with more than one Lego.
But should it be Lego pieces?
Yeah, but it's like Guinness. You can order 1, 2 or 3 Guinness. It's not Guinnesses.
Can I have 3 Guinnesses?
Is it? Yeah, and when people do say that, because I used to be a bartender.
I used to be a drinker.
I used to be a drinker as well. But yeah, like when people order like Guinnesses, it makes me want to throw a fucking
punch.
I'm just not a punch. I don't like punching people. It hurts.
A Guinness glass.
A Guinness? No, because that would potentially break, and then I'd be in jail. And I don't want to be in jail.
And before that, you'd probably have to clean up the glass.
Well, yeah, because I'm the guy with the broom. But yeah, it makes me want to smash their face off something sort of moderately, sort of somewhere between hard and soft.
Something
like a firm seat cushion, or like a firm mattress.
Something that would hurt mildly, but not actually like get you arrested.
Yeah. Have you ever done that, by the way? Like, kind of like knelt in front of your bed and then just slammed your face into the mattress as hard as you can?
I think I did because it was in Ace Ventura, wasn't it? So I think I probably.
It's exactly why I did it. It was exactly for that reason I remember doing that, just to see what it was like, and it hurts more than you would expect.
I think I'm going to try it tonight.
Yeah, it's worth it. If you listen, try it. Tell us what it feels like. So, what the fuck are we talking about, Lego?
$2.4 billion.
2.4 Bs.
Yeah. Speaking of $2 dollars, this is a great segue. So
Go on.
The other news story, we're going to look at Destiny. If it scores 90 on GameRankings.com after 30 days, Bungie are to get a $2.5 million bonus.
Well, who from? From, like, is that the employees? Or is that like Bungie saying to their employees, if this goes forward and it's here, we're gonna separate this out between everyone?
I don't actually know, but someone's going to get $2.5 billion.
Someone's getting million.
$2.5 million. Yeah,
2.5 million. Because 2.5 billion, that would be too much of a coincidence.
But the thing about it is, it's currently at 76.29%, so I can't see this happening.
So it's not looking good for the pockets of the team there.
Yeah, but the bigger implication of this is, should creative workers, should people making video games be motivated with money?
Well, that doesn't necessarily have to be restricted to video games. I think it's a good question. I think sometimes a financial motivation can be a bad thing, because for me certainly, I've found that everywhere I've worked creatively that is doing so to turn a profit.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work for a sign writer. And what would happen is you would look at the budget and say, this is how long we can be creative for on this.
Yeah.
You know? And I think when you want to be purely creative, I think you need to be able to give people the time. I mean, obviously you pay people for their job, but given that's a norm, let's say, okay, now you're a computer game developer, you're working for fucking XYZ company, then I'm getting my wage, I'm taking that home every day. Does the sort of the option of having this like massive payout for being super creative, is that just going to like put up a block for me? You know, like when you really want to get to sleep and you just can't do it, you're like, I really want to get to sleep. Like, is it going to be that? I mean, I think it is. I think it's a bad thing, because creativity should be free of any fucking kind of external pressures. You know? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, if you're trying to create something, you can't be having your mind on money at the end of the day. You need to be thinking about the product. In this case, the people had to be thinking about the game.
Well, what do you think about? Let's say you're doing something creative in whatever field.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it that you think about? What's like when you're doing it? Like, how are you kind of putting value to it? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. It's, for me, when I create something, it's about the kind of feeling of getting the thing at the end of the day. It's not about getting the money. It's about,
what's the thing like?
Well, just now, when we're doing this podcast, I mean, we're creating something here. We're not going to get any money for this.
No. Apart from like in a few years' time when like we keep the first podcast unopened and
and sell it for 50 to 100,000. Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get money then, but I mean, not many people are in the podcast business to make money unless you're like This American Life or something crazy like that. Yeah,
it's kind of huge.
Yeah.
So it's more of well, I don't know, because for me, like when I've done creative things in the past, I sort of separate this from them, because with this, like. The podcast for me is more of like it's that simple thing of just having a voice, you know.
Yeah.
There's that, but like if I'm doing work on like a computer game, or if I've been working on something else in the past, a film, music, whatever, then for me it's more of like that whole thing of like, when people see this, what are they going to think, you know?
Yeah.
And there's usually always like, I've always got a target in my head. There's always like a target audience, or a person, or someone I'm trying to outdo. You know, where it's like, this needs to be better than this.
Yeah.
And will people think that, you know? So I'm always trying to set myself a goal and try and work to that goal, as well as all the considerations of the project itself. There's always, for me, the payoff is always like, is this gonna be better than this?
I mean,
or is this person gonna like it?
Yeah. You look at something we're going to go into later. Obviously, we've not mentioned it so far, but Andy is a modder for Armour Free, and when you look at the modding community, they create so many things that people love, and I'm not doing it for any other reason than the fact that they already love that game and they want to change something to it.
Yeah.
They want to put their own stamp on it. When you look at something like Dota, I mean, Dota's making millions at the moment, but that wasn't the original intention of people that made the game.
Almost certainly not.
And that creativity came from thinking about the love that they have for that game and how they can change it. People that mod Grand Theft Auto, for example, or people that mod Skyrim. I mean, these guys are not doing it for any other reason than the fact they love the game. And
a sort of creative outlet as well. Yeah. They've found a good way of getting their creativity out there.
Yeah.
That isn't just going to float around in the ether. Like, someone's probably going to play this and enjoy it. You know?
Yeah. They'll get the comments, they'll get the feedback, they'll get this kind of, they'll get this self-actualization. They'll make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
And obviously, people at Bungie are already making money for working at Bungie.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to create something, but they're already making money.
What was that? Was this a target that was set pre-game release?
Beforehand, yeah.
So they knew, like,
this was a carrot. This was
a dangling carrot.
Yeah.
That phrase always makes me laugh.
You've got a dirty, dirty mind.
Oh, no, not because of that. It's a funny thing happened in the past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Like a racist rabbit hole.
I'm lying. Yeah, dangling carrot in a racist rabbit hole.
So I mean, when they're already getting paid, is the extra money, does it make a difference anyway? Does it? I mean, the research just shows that if the number usually moves on this, but people say that if you're making over 140,000 a year, no extra money will not do anything for you. It won't make you happier, and it won't motivate you.
Okay.
So 2.5 million is well over 140,000.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. That's surely 2.5 million
divided.
Yeah, divided out. Yeah. So I mean, maybe I don't know how many people are on the project, but like for me, I sort of think if you divide that across the whole team, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of money each.
But even it may not have been, like, I should have probably done more research on this story.
Yes, you should.
It may not have been for the employees. It could even been for like the company.
Yeah, or like the project lead, or something like that.
CEO.
Well, see, that would make me hate my project lead.
Yeah.
If I knew that my hard work was going to potentially earn him 2.5 million, I'd purposely do a shit job.
Yep.
Which is probably what's happened.
Either way, no matter who this money is going to, the money is being used to motivate creative people.
Yeah, and that's the point of the question. Yeah, and I think
not trying to get away from my poor research into the story.
No, I agree. I think it's a valid point, and that's my belief is that creative pursuits shouldn't be incentivized with money.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the last news story that we're going to look at. Gamergate. We're quite late on this one. It happened a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but it's important. It's an important subject to talk about, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, along with racism, sexism is also bad.
Yeah. And this is one of them things that I think. I think any kind of when people look into sexism in gaming, and all these sort of stories, it's almost like, for me, I always feel like these stories are being written, not because they have to be, but like I always feel like they're written with a certain amount of kind of like, oh, we've got to cover this, you know?
Yeah.
And I think people fail to realise the importance of, I mean, like the amount of times that I've played online games. And you hear people being like, racist and sexist, like
homophobic.
It's really homophobic or anything like that. It's so widespread. I hear it in every online game I've played. The amount of times. Well, for me, I notice more racism than I do sexism, or sort of homophobia or anything like that. With me, I always hear people being not just a little bit racist, not just a slightly out of place word where you sort of think, but like real, just outright racism, and you think, fuck me, man, and that's obvious, and racism it's always a big deal that people try and talk about, and but I think then when we come to sexism, I don't know. I think it's too easy for a lot of people that aren't already in the camp of thinking it needs to be dealt with. Just go, oh, bloody feminists.
The reason it came back into the kind of consciousness is because this woman, what was her name? Oh, the factual feminist, just released this video basically defending the guys defending the gaming industry, saying that it wasn't sexist and women should just blah 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 blah. I mean, her video was 6 minutes long, couldn't be bothered watching it all.
Okay,
but that was essentially she's defending the point of gaming, and there's two facets to this story. So you've got this woman who is a publisher. Basically, people accusing her of being unprofessional with journalists. The sexist part came in when the gamers started basically saying that she got a good review for her game, which they thought wasn't fair.
Yeah,
and they started calling her every name under the sun and making rape threats to her and stuff like that.
Rape threats?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And
I don't know that much about this story. It's just something that Graeme literally just came in with today, and I was like, oh shit, literally before the cast, so I don't know anything about this.
So look at that aspect. First of all, I wouldn't go as far to say that the gamers are sexist. I think that
they know which buttons to push.
No, but I think people are sexist. Like, I don't think this is something that should be just given to gamers, because like there was this woman,
like it's bigger than gaming.
Yeah, I think it's a Twitter generation. There was a woman a few months ago. She was doing a campaign to get Jane Austen put on the British £5 note.
Yeah,
and because she was doing this campaign, people were making rape threats to her. People, like, all that stuff came out on her for wanting Jane Austen on a £5 note. But
this is the thing that gets me now, like, because I mean, like, I like the podcast to be light-hearted, but then when you come to a serious subject, I think you've got to really put the weight behind it, you know. And I think for me, like, I don't understand the mentality behind, you know, it's for me, it's someone who sees something and they think, I'm going to push this button because I know that's going to get a reaction, and I think that is. It's really ugly. I think it's narrow-minded people doing it, but at the same time, it's that real kind of mentality of just wanting to fuck with someone in the worst way. You know, you can, you know, and it pretty much is the most horrible thing that you can do to you know, that you can say. Then I'll send her a rape threat. Anything like. Really, I don't get it, and I think that's a separate issue from racism, sexism, or racism, because people know which race buttons to push as well. I think it's a separate issue. I think that the real issue here is that, you know, like, presumably those people are being tracked to be sort of punished for. You would hope so. You would hope so, yeah. But I mean, I can't imagine everyone that makes a threat will be. No, but I mean, I think what it does is it exposes the mentality behind people. I don't think this is just for gamers, and I don't think this is just for this generation. I think this is a case of this generation, the technology has allowed people to be masked. Yeah, it's sort of anonymous. You're anonymous. And I don't know if I was talking to you about it, but there was research done that if they got warriors and put face paint on them or put a mask on them, they were a certain percentage more aggressive and a certain percentage more violent going into war. Yeah, than they were if it was just their face. Well, it's the same as that whole the whole crowd mentality as well. Yeah. If you put someone in a crowd or if you put someone behind a mask, they stop feeling so accountable for their actions, or indeed in a uniform. Yeah. Which is going back to really old research, but I think there's that, and it's the same thing as sort of you know, like road mentality as well. Yeah. Like people on the road cutting you up because they fucking know they can get away with it. Yeah. Whereas, you know, if you, I've had it so many times, you've got some Audi right up your arse on the motorway and you're driving and you think, God, and you look in your mirror and there's this little puke sat behind the fucking steering wheel. Yeah. And you think, I'm a 6'2" guy. You wouldn't do this on the street if we were, you know what I mean? If you went in this huge car, you wouldn't be doing this. Yeah. It's because you're in that shield, and it's the same thing. People feel safe in their bubble. And to be honest, I hope these people get doxed to shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I hope this is where I sort of think, like, I hope that those like dark areas of the internet, when they get hold of certain things and they really go after it, I really hope that people sort of at the very least get their fingers burned by saying things like that. I mean, the point I'm trying to make here, the point I'm trying to press is that gamers will be sexist because they're people. Because they're people. Yeah. And that's as far. There is sexism within the games industry in that the main characters are always men. Or an extremely sort of exaggeratedly attractive Yeah, but then the guys usually are as well.
Yeah, the guys are always ripped and
apart from GTA 5 where Trevor looks like a complete fucking
pot
mess.
belly.
Yeah, well they are. I mean, they are like that. I think. Yeah, I agree on that. But what I think the bigger issue is sexism in general. Like I don't understand how to deal with it. You know, because I'm so confused with the amount of kind of the things that I think I should be doing or saying or acting or thinking. You know, versus what my brain automatically is thinking, because we're not all politically correct inside. You know, like of course there's a filter, and you sort of, you know, you have to break that part of yourself. You know, like it's so natural to like any kind of xenophobia, like racism, sexism. It's such a natural part of being a human being that you naturally, you know, your brain wants to label everything. You know, like if you put your hand on a hot kettle, it burns. You do it 2 years later, it burns. You're gonna stop touching kettles.
Yeah,
and your brain has made a shortcut. And I think it's the same with racism. People have a fear of something, and then they kind of link that and reinforce it with sort of abstract, you know, different things that have happened in their life, and think, oh well, this and that, and then, you know, and I think that's a thing that everyone has to work at to break.
Yeah.
To be part of you know, like a civilized society, you have to work at these things.
Yeah.
And I think it's a weakness. It shows a weakness of character when people allow themselves to fall. You know what I mean? Into the trap of becoming, you know, like racist to certain degrees and sexist to degrees and homophobic. Anything, it's that sort. You sort of think, God, like, fucking grow up, you know.
The thing that gets me is that the games industry, the people making games, are saying that they don't want to put women on the cover because less people will buy the games. They don't want a female lead character because less people will buy the games. And then you saw when Tomb Raider came out, they were disappointed with, I think they sold like 2 million or something in the first few months. They were disappointed by that number. They expected more. But they're putting it on the fact that it's because there's a woman in the story. Maybe that's not the reason. You know, maybe they're kind of implying and insinuating that the gamers are sexist, but that might not be the reason. It might be
because they don't like that game.
They don't like the game. They hadn't heard about it. They didn't know anyone that was playing it. It could be loads of reasons.
Yeah. It's almost like sexism is an easy thing to sort of implicate in these things. And that's not to say that we're trying to skirt around it.
No,
but like it literally could be that you say like, well, you know, like for instance, I didn't buy Tomb Raider because I'm not particularly interested. It's not my kind of game.
Yeah, like the third person kind of action adventure.
But then I think a lead character of a game is not something I take into account.
No.
If I'm buying a game, like I really want to play The Last of Us, and I still haven't played it yet. And the lead in that could just have easily have been a woman.
Yeah. And
it wouldn't have made me think, oh, it's a woman, I'm not going to buy it because it's going to be shit because it's a woman and women are crap. You know what I mean? It would have just been, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's not that, you know, like, and even that in itself is shit, because if you do see a game that's made an effort to try and break some of these fucking really shitty rules that we all seem to have learned, like then yeah, you sort of like, you're commending them almost for doing something that they should just be doing anyway.
In the first place.
Yeah, so it's a really weird subject in that sense, and I think we've all got really warped views on it.
Yeah.
You know, because it depends where you're looking at it from. But yeah.
I mean, the second facet of this Gamergate was this kind of unethical relationship between journalists and publishers.
I think it's no one's business.
Yeah, you think so? You think there should be no journalist publishers? Like, I mean,
in what respect? Yeah, explain what you mean, so I can sort of understand what you're saying there.
So, in 2012, you know that guy, he's a comedian. You know that clip for
Andy Parsons?
Not that comedian. No, he's another comedian.
Okay.
You know the sketch we were talking about the other day, where the Scottish guys are in the elevator and they're living.
Yeah.
One of those guys worked for Eurogamer.
Yeah.
He's a games journalist. And in 2012, he wrote this article about how journalists and publishers were getting too cozy.
Yeah.
The journalists were tweeting about how publishers were giving away free PS3s, and they were like doing hashtags to try and get the free PS3s and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so he was basically saying, well, if you're getting a free PS3 from a publisher, how can you possibly be fair when it comes to...
Yeah, you've got a certain level of bias.
Yeah. And then, of course, Jeff Gershman at Giant Bombcast has kind of thing where I think he was sacked by GameSpot because he wrote he did a bad video review for Kane and Lynch, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Kane and Lynch were sponsors of GameSpot, and they asked for it to be removed, and GameSpot basically sacked him. So these types of things where you've got people kind of standing up against this kind of relationship between journalists and publishers.
Okay, I know what you're saying, but is that the it's difficult because, like, let's say I'm a journalist and publishing house release a game. It's a big game, and like I do a good review of that. What if my, you know, like, or like if this person's boyfriend or girlfriend is working for that company, or is maybe the producer of that? Because you can imagine that these people would naturally meet. You know, like people working in the games industry, people reviewing, people working. They're gonna cross over at some point. Yeah. Now, what if they're working together? Like, as long as you can maintain, a certain level of objectivity. Like, I personally don't think it's anybody's business what these people are doing. So, like, if a journalist is having a relationship, be it, you know, like purely physical or whatever, I think it's no one's
my favourite kind of relationship.
Yeah, well, I think it's no one's business, you know. And unless it starts to affect the work, in that case, and you say, hang on, I think that your relationship with this person is affecting your ability to do your job.
So on a case by case basis.
Yeah, case by case. And if that is the fact, if that is true, then sure, then in that case, then you should be saying, okay, well, that's my opinion, and then sure, people should talk about it, and because it is important. The same with politics and the reporting on politics. If there is a bias that pops up because someone's having, you know, some kind of relationship with someone in the government, then you have to say, hang on, this is wrong, you know. Yeah. And I think the same, but only when it starts to affect it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing that gets me is that we can't be policing people's relationships.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, there's not really much we can say about it. You can't. There's only so much you can go into this.
Yeah.
And I think we may have hit it on that. Like when people say that, you know, like, oh, they're having these relationships, and you say, well, yeah, we can't police it. So what do you want us to do? Like become the fucking Stasi?
Yeah. I mean, you just need to basically make sure that journalists are being professional.
Yeah, and that's end of story. Whether they're male or female.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. Like, do your job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's all you can expect from anyone. But yeah, to round up the whole thing, sexism in gaming, as you said, it's not the problem. The problem is sexism in people.
Yeah. And
that needs to stop before. But sure, each community can push for it. But until people in general, you know, sadly, as sad as it is, over the years, through fucking better education, through parents not being complete idiots, can teach their kids to actually act like human fucking beings and treat everybody the same. Yeah. Until that happens, we're not going to see this end, you know.
I think a lot of people think that it's because women in games are kind of a minority, and I think people think that that's why the sexism comes in. But I think even if women in games were like 50-50, I think there would still be this sexism.
Yeah, for sure.
I just don't think it's a contempt of the fact that they don't make up that many gamers.
Well, that's the thing. I think sometimes people sometimes get caught in the trap of thinking that people are being sexist on purpose, and I think, well, no. I mean, it's the problem's worse than that. If someone was being sexist on purpose, you can say to them, stop doing that. You know, you can point to the problem and get rid of it. But when someone's being sexist because they don't fucking know any better, then you've got to educate that person to get it to stop. You know, and that, I think that's what the problem is. You can't just take that problem away. You can't sort of say, like, stop picking your nose. You know what I mean? Because
I wasn't picking my nose.
No, he wasn't picking his nose. But I sometimes do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that. I think it's just a general thing. It's education. It's how people are brought up, and it's society in general just not tolerating it anymore. You know, and that's when we'll see a stop to it. And I think that's it.
So I mean, speaking of trying to change, when you mod something, you change it, don't you?
You do change it. Yeah, that was such a shameless segue because we're going to go into the mod section. As Graeme said, I'm working on the 2017 mod, which is.
Do you have a jingle for this section?
Do we need one?
I think everything.
Do we need? We could have like a sort of like a ratchet You know, like one of those
like changing something. Yeah,
the mod section. And I think that's it.
Yeah,
we could do that. So, so I'm working on the 2017 mod for Arma 3, and what I don't want to do here is I don't want to talk too much about the mod, because where it stands now, we're coming up really close to the Make Arma Not War competition, and there's really big money on the line, and with the Arma 2017 mod isn't involved in this competition. It's basically just for anyone that's interested.
Who runs this competition?
Well, Bohemia Interactive run the competition, and I think what they're trying to do is promote people to mod and make things for Arma 3. And I mean, amongst other things, the mods really prolong the life of any given game. Specifically with the Arma series, Daisy was responsible for thousands of copies of Arma 2 being sold when people wanted to just play this mod, including me.
Yeah.
And I think having a really healthy modding community really it brings the community closer together at certain points.
Do they tend to hire from this community? Are they looking for creative people for this as well?
Well, they do. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of different studios on different levels do sort of recruit from their sort of pool of modders. But like, I think Bohemia Interactive specifically they seem to me, and again, this is my opinion, they seem to me to be one of those really kind of open, approachable companies, where I feel like they are quite close to the community. You know, I feel like they do interact with their community, and they can comment on things, and they just seem to be just bloody open. You know, like, and that's a great thing. And this competition is there to sort of, to try and encourage that, I guess. We can go back to that whole thing of what we were saying earlier about encouraging creativity with a financial reward. Yeah. And we've already rounded up that. I don't think it's the right way to do things, but some people probably have a different thought on that. But the point is that at the moment, I think as a team, 2017 are just trying to keep their cards a little bit closer to the chest right now.
That's understandable.
Yeah, it's understandable, and you don't need to really comment on why. Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's not that people think, people are going to steal my ideas. But when there's a lot of money on the line, sometimes people can,
But just to clarify, 2017 are not going for the cash prize.
No. 2017 are out of. They don't. It's been decided on a team level that they're happy to not go.
Did you feel a bit more freedom with that when that decision was made, or were you disappointed?
Well, no. See, for me, like, this is a decision that was made pre. So when I came into the team, this was already made out. And yeah, like, I think for me, if I had been, if it was involved in it, I'd be feeling a lot more pressure right now for certain, and that definitely would impact on what I was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working on the map for the game. And yeah, I mean,
what does that mean, working on the map?
Well, okay, in the Arma series, in fact, in most games, you have the terrain. Anything that's kind of like open. If you've got things, if you've got games that are sort of like Dead Space when they're all like in a ship, right, then you find that's mostly all. It's very model orientated. Everything is sort of like models stuck together to make this big construction that then you're playing in as a level.
Yeah.
Whereas like in games where you've got like a huge open world with the terrain, then you have the terrain, and that's like your basic ground, water, sky, and hills, rocks, blah blah, etc., buildings and so on. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking a map that I've previously been working on, converted that over to Arma 3 because I'd started on it for Arma 2, and now I'm just working on getting that populated, putting buildings in there, putting features in there. Just kind of trying to help the storytelling side of the game.
So basically, everything you would see in the game that you don't touch or move, you touch but you don't move, you're responsible for.
No.
You wouldn't go that far?
Well, no, that's going to say, because first of all, it's not solely me.
Okay.
There is a small team of people, and I think through the interviews, the bonus interviews we're doing, well, I'm hoping that we can talk to some of these other people that are working on, not just map, but, you know, the developers, basically the guys who are sitting there staring at a screen full of code, people who are sitting there modelling, people who are doing artwork. You know, there's a huge amount of tasks to be completed to get this out. So when you say that, basically, you know, models that you see on that terrain will have been built by somebody.
Right.
In fact, a lot of the models that are on the terrain, you know, at this time, I mean, I can talk about. I don't want to make people think that this is something we can't talk about at all.
Right.
But, you know, like anything that's sort of already been released and is out there, I'm happy to talk about. Anything else, you know, like as a team, things need to be decided before we can sort of talk about things. But yeah, a lot of the models right now that I'm placing are assets from the game itself,
right,
or from Arma 2.
Okay.
And, you know, obviously things will appear in there, new things will crop up and whatnot over time. But yeah, essentially I'm responsible for putting them into the map.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of how that works.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just the general feel of it, you know, like there will be a style that I'm going for that I'm going to try and hold together throughout the entire of the terrain and so on. But that's what I'm doing for it, you know.
Right.
And I would say that I've probably been working on this map now since about October 2012, way before the mod came around.
That's a long time to be within the one thing.
It is, but at the same time, you have to remember is I got no idea about this when I started. Like, I literally came into the Armorverse as a complete virgin. I got no idea.
Is Armorverse a thing?
Maybe.
I think you should make it a thing.
It might be. I could have seen that somewhere and just sort of spat it back out. But yeah, I came into this. I'd never modded Armor before. I'd never done anything to it before, and so I came into it. And my learning curve is extremely steep. So, you know, it's taken me a long time to get up to speed, and then I was asked to come onto the...
Why did you decide to start? I mean, it's not often that someone... I mean, you're...
Well, the thing is, like, I've been modding things for my own consumption.
Okay.
Since I could use a keyboard. Like, back in the old Spectrum days, I was like, you know, like adding lines of basic code to stuff so I could like...
You like Notch?
No, Notch is successful. See?
He's a beardo as well, isn't he?
Yeah, well...
But
yeah, no, and also he's just got 2.4 billion, which I don't. And but yeah, this is the difference though. Like, I was always doing stuff for my own pleasure, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, I came into the Armor thing, and so the learning curve for me, the first say year and a half, 2 years, was almost complete learning curve. You know, learning how do I map, how do I put this into the engine, how do I tell it what floor to have, how do I tell it what the grass should look like, you know, like, and there's great people in the community that have made it their position in the community has become one of, I'm going to write a tutorial and help people do this and help people do that, and so that's a great thing as well. So the whole community behind it is just really, it's really good, and that's easy, or it's made it easy for me to come into it, you know. So basically I'm sort of standing on the shoulders of people that were there before me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all great. But so that's why we want to kind of talk about mods. I think what we're going to do for the moment, because I'm on 2017, I think it would be nice for us to follow that along, because obviously I've got something invested in it, and we can really talk to the team and explore stuff to try and, not, as I said, not about the game, not about any of the features in the game, but just talk to the people and understand what goes into making a mod. And then obviously if you scale up a mod, then you're talking about, you know, games production. So you sort of get to see on what scale games are produced and mods are produced, and the things that go into and what people have to do. And that's what we want to do. I mean, this is essentially an introduction into the interview series, I guess. And also we will sort of keep up to date with news on 2017. Anything that's been released, we can talk about. And we'll just go into it. We'll just go into it that way, really.
Yeah.
So really, you know, like you can keep up to date with the forums, which again we'll put a link into. There's the website which you can go to. Just check it all out. If you're interested, then look at it, because it's all cool stuff.
Why should people care? I mean, there's mods all over the internet. I mean, DayZ is going to be coming out soon, and that's so successful. Why should they care about 2017? What is going to be awesome about that?
Well, this is exactly what I don't want to talk about. These are the things, yeah. These are the things where it's like we don't want people to know yet. You know, I think
you don't need to tell me the details, but like, what is it about your team that's going to make a good game?
Well, they're a good bunch of people. You know, like the people that are on the team are doing a good job of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we've got people that originally worked on on sort of the DayZ mod.
Yeah.
People that worked on the original 2017 mod, and then you know, like people that are newer to modding like me, who have come in and for some massive mistake they've like asked me to go on a team somewhere. But yeah, you know, we've got a good team of people that are good at what they do,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's why it's worth watching this, and especially if you're an Armour fan, if you're anyone that's into Armour will be really familiar with the whole modding process. I think it's super rare that anyone plays a vanilla version of any of the Armours,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, if you're into Armour, then keep up with this, and if you're not into Armour, then get into it.
Have you got like a day and date, like a release date?
No. Again, the release date thing is, you know, when it's done, and Shinkicker talks about this in his interview. You know, like a lot of people, especially with, you know, when you're developing a game, you've got a crew of people working 9 to 5. You can watch your progress, and you can predict when it's going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
But with this, we've got people who aren't being paid, that are working in between their job, their normal life, holidays, you know, whatever it is that they've got to do, they've got to fit this in.
Mm-hmm.
And so you tend not to get such a steady flow, you know, you get
Yeah.
like ups and downs.
Okay.
So that's sort of why, and that's probably true to any mod as well.
It's hard to predict.
Very hard, yeah, unless you're working to a deadline, which also you can then sort of lose out on things. So,
but obviously on Pedestrians, we'll make sure that people are up to date with when you get a kind of date in mind.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, I will strive to keep people up to date with anything 2017 related that is out, you know, that is there. You know,
Yeah.
maybe we can convince the team to maybe let us have a few exclusives. Who knows? I'll have to ask him as soon as we finish the podcast, so this isn't the first time he hears about it. But yeah, so that's that. But yeah, that's what it's about. That's it, really. So we should really go on with the email section. Just explain what's going to happen there.
I take it we don't have a jingle for that either. And this, you were in charge of the jingles.
I know I was in charge of jingles, but I sort of thought we could go through into them. And we could just do this. Oh, what does that say? Did you like that?
I liked it, but it's quite fun because we don't actually have any emails at the moment because this is the first podcast, and how could anyone email into something they didn't know exists?
Yeah.
So this is where the emails would be.
This is the placeholder, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We would maybe, if there were any interesting tweets, etc., we would speak about them here. At the moment, though, we're basically just going to try and lay down who we are, why we're doing this, and why you should listen to us.
Yeah, really, we should have put this at the beginning of the show, but if you've downloaded it, then presumably you're already listening to it.
Yeah.
So, but we just want to reinforce that, really.
Yeah.
So,
coming from my side, I mean, I'm a big games fan. My first system was Atari 2600. I went on to Commodore 64 and Master System, etc., all the way to where I am just now.
Which is PS4.
PS4 at the moment, PS Vita and Wii U and 3DS.
Nice.
I trained as a journalist. I'm not working as a journalist at the moment, but I'm doing a few related rating type things. And I really want to be a games journalist.
Yeah, cool. So on my side, my background is super colourful. I started out life. My first job ever was working on a film, which some of you might have watched. It was called The Fifth Element. That was the first thing I ever did when I was 16. So yeah. Then I went from there to working for an insurance company, which was
that's a natural progression.
Which was natural progression. You go from blockbuster to well, we call it a blockbuster. It's a Luc Besson film, But yeah, from that to I did that. Then I became a graphic designer. I got bored with that. I became a bike mechanic. I got bored with that really quick. I didn't get bored with it. I just began hating bikes. You know, it wasn't like, oh, look at that, what an awesome bike. It was, oh, I hate those. Their gearboxes are shit. You know, so I went through that. The whole time I'm going through this process, I was always consuming games. I really started out with my first ever computer was a ZX Spectrum. When I think I was 4. I mean, I was probably earlier than that. I could read and write before I went to school because I was playing text adventures. I went through the Spectrum plus 2, plus 3. I bought myself an Atari ST as soon as I could. So I was making and releasing games on that. Like, if anyone remembers, LAPD was a PD company, public domain games company for Atari ST. Me and my friend would send games into them. And we sold a couple of games there, like sort of like text adventures and crap. And then really when I got a PC, it broke me. It really broke I just sort of thought the games are now so high end that I just couldn't mod anymore until Doom came along, and that was when I really got back into the whole. I think it was like DCK edit, the Doom creation kit, and I really got into modding Doom with sound effects and like new levels and I just went from there right the way through that, and that's really how I've gone, you know. So, and then I've got a sort of I've touched with indie film as well, which we wanted to do a section on film in the podcast, which we will do. But I mean, as the first episode, I think we've really filled it up. It's gone on way longer than we thought, and so we're just going to skip over the films this time. But next week, I think we'll make things. We'll make things a little bit tighter, and we'll get that in there for you because we really want to cover that.
I think this week was such a big game coming out like Destiny. It's kind of hard to skip over that.
Yeah, and what we didn't want to do, we didn't. I mean, like we could possibly be criticised for being a bit too long, which has never happened to me before. But like, I think sometimes. It's nicer to let the conversation roll and to really get into the stuff, really talk about the issues instead of reading or listening to a little condensed, like pocket-sized version. I think it's nice to have it natural, and so that's what we've really tried to do, or at least what's actually happened,
And when it comes to that section, I think we regard ourselves as being knowledgeable people about games. When it comes to film, we're probably it'll be more like uninformed opinions.
Yeah, well, even with games, I think we have to be careful that people don't think that we're not
pretending to be experts.
Yeah. I mean, like if I say something, I'm really not trying to think that. I'm a consumer of games, and I look at games in that way. When I'm playing a game, of course, I notice things. The
aesthetics.
I notice things. As someone that's familiar with how things are built, I do notice things. But when I'm playing a game, I'm pretty much playing the game, and that's how I want to talk about games. How I want to talk about films. I don't want anyone to ever think that we somehow think that we're experts in anything. We're a couple of idiots, to be honest. Yeah. I don't even know how we managed to hook the equipment up to make this podcast.
I just came in here and it was all done. So
I just woke up and it was all done.
It's the fairies.
We got it's those little elves, like in that old story.
Yes, indeed.
Cobbling shoes or something like.
But yeah, my shoes do need cobbled. So.
Yeah, well, just leave them on the desk and we'll see if that happens.
Done by the morning time.
But yeah, that's that, and we're gonna rely heavily on what you think. So again, really tell us what you think of the show. If you want to see something in, or you want to see something out, or you want more or less, or blah blah blah, we're going to do a little thing where, just for fun, where we're going to sort of take votes, and next week Graham's going to smack me around the face with something that you guys have suggested. So, I mean, whatever it is, as long as it's not his cock, then I'm good with that. So we'll do that, because I think 2001 was a really good year. I really love that whole Jackass thing.
Yeah.
And it's died off enough now that I think we're not going to look like big enough idiots bringing something like that back.
And when it comes to physical comedy, I've always thought that radio was the best place to put it.
Definitely, yeah. So yeah, what we're going to do, what we might do is have Graeme narrate what happens.
Yeah, and you say what it felt like.
Yeah, and I can say, so we can sort of cover all bases.
I think, what I'm going for at the moment is a full packet of Pringles. That's what I want to hit him in the face with. So, that's a suggestion for what you could vote for.
Okay. My suggestion is a And like a sort of an old like an old leather driving glove, you know, like
that would be good.
Those things you see in old films when they would smack each other around the faces. Those I've always liked the idea of that. And if we do that, then I may wear a monocle while it happens.
But if I smack you in the face with a leather glove, does that mean I've not challenged you to a duel?
Damn it! Damn it! You're on to me.
You're just trying to shoot me, aren't you?
Yeah. So there's that. And also next week. I mean, as point of recording, it's the 17th today.
Yeah.
Wednesday. Tomorrow is the Scottish independence vote, and it's a big deal, obviously, to Graeme because he's a sweaty sock.
Yep.
And to me because I want to see him gone. So we really, it's something we're both passionate about.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit. Well, not to get too political, but just because it's something to talk about, and I think it'll be nice to see other people's opinions on that as well. So,
and if independence does go through, there's a chance I will be moved to another room to do the podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to have to ask Graeme to bring his passport with him.
Mm-hmm.
So could cause some issues, but we're hoping it won't cause too many problems.
We'll get around it.
Yes.
So if you do want to email us, it's pedestrians@gmail.com.
I love how you didn't know that. You had to lean forward and read it.
I'm not reading anything. I had to bring it from my head to my mouth.
It's pedestrians with an O, not
Podestrians.
Yeah, because it's a clever name, you see. Pedestrians. And if you want to visit the website, it's pedestrians.net.
Why is it pedestrians.net?
It's pedestrians.net because for some reason I checked the internet when we first came up with this idea. I checked for pedestrians.com and it was there, it was available. And then we came to register the domain, and someone else, some people from Leeds have set up a website called thepedestrians.com. I think they may have also bought pedestrians.com as well to cover both bases. They've made a website for a podcast of all things, right? And on their logo, they've spelt their own name wrong. They've called themselves the Pedestrians. This is what we're up against. Honestly, we're up against our closest competition is people who can't fucking spell and are from Leeds. So hopefully, we may be able to start a pod beef.
We should. I mean,
with the pedestrians.
Pedestrians.net, which is ours, is a pretty good website as well.
I think we've done a good job with the website. It won't be. I'm thinking it may not be online. Certainly, all the functionality won't be there within the next week. Mm-hmm. But I'm really hoping to get that up as soon as possible. If it is up by the time you listen to this, and it isn't next week, which doesn't make any sense because
you've just blown my mind.
Yeah, but yeah, if it is up, then it means I've had a pretty, I've had a couple of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
So yeah, enjoy that if you do get there. Please leave feedback. Please rate us on iTunes.
That's very important.
That's going to push us up. And other than that, just we really hope you've enjoyed listening to this. And
of course, sorry, before we go on, Twitter is @Podestrians.
Yeah, of course it is. We're also on Facebook. All of these are going to be on the website, so you can link in from the website.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Is there anything else?
No.